We were looking at the data the other day, and just by making this one little shift, it actually increased the conversion on this website for one direction, 33%, and the other one over 100%.
Yeah.
So in this episode of the Evergreen Marketing Show, we're actually going to dig into 7 of those conversion killers, or on the other side of it, like conversion increasers, that if people just use one of these, it could literally double the conversion of their sites. You stack them all up, that's where we start to get good performance.
Awesome. I'm excited. I want to hear what that test is about because I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm excited.
I like it. So this is the Evergreen Marketing Show, y'all. And if you're watching this on YouTube, amazing. Subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching this on the podcast, subscribe to YouTube. This is the brand new podcast. So if you're rechecking back into the Carrot Cast after months or years, and you're kind of
7-8 years.
That's right. If you're diving back in now, you're going, what the heck is this format? Well, Brady has been running the Carrot Cast for
it's been over a year now,
a long time, and I've been doing the Trevor Truck Docs, which are more in the entrepreneur journey, and it's really exciting because we get a chance now. And this is where you and I have just been collabing on this. We're going, dude, there's an opportunity to go. We're doubling down on marketing, and we're going to make sure that everyone has the best possible marketing resource, evergreen marketing resource in the world. If you're in real estate or any other business that serves a local clientele, and you're a service business that helps a property owner. And then we're taking the entrepreneur side of it and making that its own complete podcast. So check out the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula ones too, guys.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the show notes. Trevor's new podcast, Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. I'm really excited to just be taking people step by step. We've talked about marketing for years, but this is the first time we're taking like a really concerted, very focused effort of like, how do you do evergreen marketing step by step? So we're at episode 3. You got your website up, you got your lead gen hub up, and you know how to structure your pages. You've started creating some content. This is about how not to mess it up. Carrot, I've heard people say many times, if you listen to the podcast, like, oh, launch a Carrot site, it converts right out of the box. Like I was getting leads or I was sending traffic to it and it converts right out of the box. And so in general, there's like, you really don't want to do a whole lot to it. So, but we understand like as you customize it, as you start adding things, personalize it, localize it, you can, want to start changing colors, make things bigger, smaller, or add more copy, add more text. And so we just want to kind of give you the guardrails to like, just keep it high converting, So anyways, Trevor, I'll do this. Let me list out the conversion killers and a couple of credibility boosters, and then we'll kind of break it down and maybe we'll talk about like context for conversion rates too. Like before we hit record or something, like people ask, what's a good conversion rate? It depends. Anyways, we'll dive into that. Here are the 7 killers, and then we'll break them down. Number 1, your form sucks. It's too much resistance, too many fields, etc. Number 2, the hero section, the top of your website, it's got way too much info. It's cluttered. Number 3, the copy doesn't address people's objections. Number 4, it lacks credibility. Your website lacks credibility. Number 5, the site is not personalized or localized. We'll explain that. Number 6, the site isn't optimized for mobile. Number 7, your site is slower than dirt. And credibility boosters, I'm teasing. We'll have to put that in the end. You have to hang on for this.
Cliffhanger, y'all. Cliffhanger.
So yeah, give me just like, we're gonna make this episode nice and tight and tactical. So give me like your 2 cents on why you need context with conversion rates, why you shouldn't compare.
Yep, dude. So first of all, conversion rate, like what the heck is a conversion rate? So in the sense that we're talking on this episode, it's someone landed on your website, or what we call the lead generation hub. They landed there. Did they actually turn into a lead? Right. And so the data that we'll tend to share is the data that comes from our system across 10,000 websites, millions of leads. And it's the online opt-in. It's someone filled out a form.
Yeah. Okay. The visitor to lead conversion.
Exactly.
Not your visitor or your lead to deal conversion. Did you actually lock up the whole deal?
Exactly. And so you guys are also going to get phone call leads. The data we're going to share tends to be just online opt-in. Okay. Yeah. So the next thing is, I was on a Facebook thread about a month ago, and it actually spurred 2 separate Facebook lives that I've done in 2 different groups now.
Yeah.
And I'm doing one tomorrow to our Evergreen Marketing Group. So guys, little plug for Evergreen Marketing Group. Go to community.carrot.com to join our Facebook community where we talk about this stuff. And this right here is streamed live over there once a week, do Q&A. But a customer of ours, Casey, amazing dude, love him to death. He was asking people in this other group, said, what's your conversion rate on Google pay-per-click? And it's an amazing question because a lot of people want to know that, but it's also a bad question because conversion rates depend on so many variables. If you're in California versus Mobile, Alabama, Alabama is going to have a higher conversion rate than San Francisco, California, because demographics, because competition, a lot of reasons. So where a motivated house seller website might convert a visitor to a lead for a Google pay-per-click campaign at 25% or 29% in Mobile, Alabama, it might be 7% or 9% or 12% in San Francisco. The next thing is your marketing channel. So if you're doing SEO, so ranking a website high in Google and using content evergreen marketing, is what we talk about. If you're doing SEO, those are high motivated people, right? They're searching out something, so they're going to convert pretty high, right? They might convert 15%, 20% of those targeted searchers becoming a lead. If you're doing a Facebook ad, it might be more like 9%, 7%. If they're coming from a direct mail piece, they might convert at 5%. Right. So you have to look at the marketing channel too.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing is we're talking about conversion rate, guys. The main thing I want you to lock in your minds is just how do you make your website perform better,
right,
and turn more of those visitors into a lead that you can work with.
Yeah. And not get focused on the number.
Don't compare it. No
Not get hung
comparisons.
up on the number. It's like, how can I keep that high converting?
Yep.
That's
Unless you're literally in the same market doing the exact same marketing channel as your person that you're comparing the data against, their conversion rate doesn't matter unless it's same market, same channel, same type of lead.
Yeah. And even then, man. Yeah.
Yep.
So let's dive into it. Killer number one. That sounds so intense. The killer number one.
Dude, it takes 7 killers to actually kill the website. No, and we could have made 72 conversion killers. We just picked 7.
So the credibility murderer number one. Your form has too much resistance, too many fields, or you have a bad CTA on the button, or the form is below the fold. I think that this is like one of the magic things about Carrot. If you've ever, man, I've made forms from scratch on WordPress before. It is so much freaking work.
Yep.
And then not even talking about the psychology of how to do this correctly. But let me know if I'm wrong on this, Trevor, if you disagree. But in general, if you have more than 3 to 4 fields on the first part of your form, is too much.
Yep.
It's too much resistance for someone.
Yep.
It's intimidating.
We did a ton of tests on that. All right. We did the 7 form fields and asked for all the information. We've done the one where it just asked for property address.
Yeah.
And the ideal mix is you get enough information to where you can get a qualified lead, but not so much where you kill your conversion rate on people willing to do it. So we found that in real estate, the 3 form fields is about ideal. And you start it with property address, a really simple thing for them to put in. And then we'll do contact info, phone, email, make one of them optional.
Yeah.
And that's dialed in. If the first thing, dude, if I go to a website, Brady, and I see a form with 7 form fields asking a seller to fill it out and a small little button that says submit at the bottom of it, I can guarantee you that I can double your conversion rate just by moving over to our model with the forms that we use, just by changing your form.
Yeah. Yep. And so that's another thing on the form, like a bad CTA, a bad call to action on the button. So submit. I mean, just as like we're talking on the podcast before, just as a consumer, like think about what does a submit button do? I guess it's different if you're filling out like medical forms online, but like you're handing over and you know where it's going, but like you're handing over your information to someone, like what's going to happen after this? What happens after I hit submit? What's the page going to be? So the button needs to set that expectation and incentivize them to put in their information.
Yep.
So get my cash offer. That's super clear. This is all I have to do to get a cash offer. Okay. No brainer.
Yep. Benefit oriented. And we've tested that too. So we have a blog post. We can probably link it up in the show notes somewhere or on our YouTube channel. But we have a blog post where we tested that a bunch. It was like we tested the word continue, the word submit, the word get your offer, get your cash offer, get your fair cash offer, get your fast cash offer. The reason this industry has, basically get your fair offer, get your fast cash offer is the default. It's because we created the default. We did it. Before that, it was submit or continue. And it doubled conversion rate. We literally changed 5 words on a website, 5 words. And across the sites we tested, conversion rate doubled because we changed 5 words.
Yeah. Another another one of the killer number one is having your form below the fold.
Yep.
So this is huge. So Carrot by default, you're not going to have this problem. Your form is going to be where it needs to be, but it can be tempting to be like, oh, I want to put a video or I want to make the header, like top of the website huge, or let me add all this stuff. And then inadvertently, your form might get pushed below the fold. And if you're not tech savvy like me and you had to Google this, that's okay.
Yeah.
This means that when you pull it up on your website or on your phone, just kidding. I didn't have to Google this. I work for Carrot, I know. But if you pull it up on your website or on your laptop or your phone, it's you had to scroll to see it.
Yep.
So that's what we mean by below the fold. So just make sure you don't clutter up the top of your homepage and push that form down too far.
And I'm going to bring this up really quick, and then we'll move on to the next one. But here's a blog post, guys. If this has popped up on screen, here's a blog post we wrote. We ran this test. We've done it since. 50% increase just by on mobile specifically, but just by getting the form higher. And the way that we did it, we can link this one up in the show notes, is we removed some of the wording on the form. There was a bunch of wording, like 2 sentences above the form.
Yeah.
We just, here's the picture right here. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast, go to the YouTube video. We've got it on here, but we literally removed, it looks like 4 lines of text. It bumped the form up enough to be higher on mobile, and it increased conversion on this test 50%. 50% more leads.
That's crazy, man.
Yep.
It's such a simple tweak too. Killer number 2, destroyer number 2. I'm going to come up with a new adjective for every one of these. Destroyer number 2. The hero section has too much information. Too much information. So, Trevor, I think the best way to kind of summarize this is something you taught me a few years ago about copywriting. Is that I'm going to botch this, but the goal of each line isn't to get the sale. The goal of each line is to get them to the next line.
Yep.
So basically, the hook, your H1 heading, your title tag, whatever you want to call it, that top portion of your website, like we we're talking about in the previous episode, telling them what you do, how you can solve their problem, make their life better. All that needs to do is to get them to read a little bit further down the website.
Yep.
This is not the time to be explaining everything you do and in your about page and all that.
Yep.
It's just to get them to keep on reading.
And get to the point, right? We talked about in the last one, the 5-second grunt test. They should be able to immediately know with your headline, what do you do and who do you do it for and where? They should be able to immediately know a couple good benefits that help them go, oh, that's kind of cool that you can do that. Yeah. And then next is, what do I do next? That's it. And then right there, maybe right below that form is some credibility, a testimonial or 425 5 stars on Google, just something. And that's it. If they're not ready to take action there, then they'll scroll down below or click a link on the website to get more information.
Yeah. This is not your spot to put, we are your one-stop shop in Roseburg, Oregon for how to sell a probate house fast near you.
Don't put a video in your hero. Like, that's one thing. Don't put a video up top, because if you can picture someone, like what some people do, they'll put a video up the top instead of words, and then they'll put the form next to it.
Yeah.
In the video, picture the person at work at 11 o'clock in the morning, or 2 a.m. They're flipping through their phone and their spouse is laying next to them or whatever it is. They're not going to click the video, watch this video, and listen to it with the audio to learn what you do.
Right.
Take the video and put it down the page, which we'll talk about video later, when they're ready to explore. So all text in the hero sections for HVAC and for real estate and for all those other industries, any service industry, quick text, quick call to action. What do we do? What do you do next? Make it easy, credibility, bam. And then if they're not ready, they'll move down.
Right. Exactly. So don't get rid of the video. Just put it down. It's not the most important thing at this time.
Exactly.
Moving on. I'm running out of adjectives for credibility.
Crusher.
Here we go. Crusher number 3. The copy doesn't clearly address clients' objections. You're not clearly, answering their questions. We talked about in the first or second episode. This is Evergreen Marketing 101, is just providing value and answering people's questions. Answering all the different types of questions you have. Give me a couple quick examples of this, Trevor.
Yeah. So you want to put yourself in the mind of that prospect, right? So what pains they have, what questions they have, what concerns they have. And an example, let's say it's a house seller. All right. They might have a question of, how does this thing work? I've never sold a house directly to a cash buyer. How does it work? So you should address that before they have to ask it. It should be somewhere in the order that they're probably thinking that, and then say, you're probably wondering, how does the process work to sell your house fast for cash in Roseburg? Well, here it is. Step 1, step 2, step 3, or there's the how it works link up above. Another question that could come up, let's say for HVAC as an example, is how fast can you typically come out here, or what is your service call price? Now, I'm probably not going to fill out that form if I'm just not clear at all what your service call price is going to be. Is it $1,000? Is it $20?
Right.
So you could put a range.
Do you work on these brands? Are you an authorized dealer? There's so many different questions.
Yeah, and there's so many things there. Use testimonials and reviews for this. So one thing that a lot of people do is they'll use their own words and say, they'll only use their words and go, "We are the most reputable, da 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 da," or "We're the fastest in the da 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 da," or "We make the best offers." Right? Yeah. Use your reviews to say that. Yeah. Okay. You have a review up there on that homepage that literally says, Brady buys houses. Gave me an offer higher than everyone else, and he closed on time. Mm-hmm. The prospect or the client, their word is going to go a lot further than yours.
Yeah. I can't wait to do an episode we'll do an episode all about testimonials and talk about how your testimonials need to defeat objections as well.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, where are we at? We talked about credibility.
Did
we say that one yet?
No, we didn't. We kind of started on it. Let's dig into that one. We can make it quicker.
Number 4, the site. I'm not even using ChatGPT. The Slayer number 4, the site
Brady GPT.
Credibility.
Brady GPT.
So your site's not credible. What's this mean? You don't have any proof. You don't have enough reviews on there, or your reviews are really generic, or you formatted them poorly.
People don't believe you.
Yeah.
They don't believe you, especially in the real estate industry. So there's tons of studies that show when they rank industries that have the least amount of trust, real estate's always top 5. Always top 5. It's like lawyers, insurance, real estate is always in there. And so we have to assume that people are wondering about whether you're actually credible. They're skeptical. Okay. And so we need to make sure we have credibility. So reviews are one way to do it. Showing localized photos, not stock photos. Guys, get stock photos out of your website. 100% bar none, get them off your site. Okay. And Google sees that now too. Yeah. Google is actually marking you down because they recognize stock photos, stock
images,
because they see the same darn image across 400 sites.
Take some of your own, or pay it. We put stock images there as placeholders, but our hope is that you replace them. Pay a real estate photographer to go out, snap some photos for you, put them on your website.
Dude, get your Google My Business reviews badge on there. If you're Better Business Bureau, if your market uses Better Business Bureau like real estate does, then get a BBB badge up on there. If you're an HVAC, they could probably care less about BBB, but they love Yelp. And so get a bunch of Yelp reviews, but make it so when people land there, they're not wondering, has anyone ever worked with this company? Have they solved the type of problem I'm trying to solve? And ideally, I want to see the video or read the words from people that you've helped.
Yeah. One of the best examples of that, and then we'll move on, is simplysold.com, Bo's site. We share it all the time just because he kills it when it comes to credibility, and he's not afraid to just do videos and get out there. But he's got the videos on the right spots on his website, testimonials on the homepage, about page, just videos everywhere that are answering or crushing specific objections. And then he's also capturing the Google reviews for like Google My Business or Google Business Profile listing, whatever. So get reviews when in doubt, put them everywhere. You can't overdo it.
There's another 100 ways to add credibility, guys. We're giving you guys a couple ideas. We'll do more episodes on that topic.
Yeah. Let's see. I said Destroyer already. I think I already said Destroyer.
I don't know if I've heard the Destroyer one yet.
Destroyer.
Double down on it. Destroyer.
Okay. Incinerator number 5. The site, the site isn't personalized or localized. So credibility is one thing. Personalized kind of overlaps with credibility, but people want to know about you. And I think this is where a lot of real estate investors miss it. They think you get wrapped up in the brand, which is okay. Like, you should build a valuable brand, but they also want to know about you. Like, what are your interests? What's your background? And this is where I get excited because I see investors win at this if they were like a veteran and they want to niche down or connect with other veterans, or if they care about investing in their community or whatever it is. They want to know a little bit of your backstory, what you specialize in, why you help people. They want to know the why. And again, this is kind of a no-brainer, but they want to know that you're local.
Yep.
Carrot already does it out of the box. You don't really have to worry about that, but make sure you have like local stock photos, and they know the specific locations you work out of.
Yep.
So like in the last episode, we're talking about pages, it's really helpful. It's one thing if it's like, okay, I know these guys buy homes in Dallas. I'm in the suburbs of Dallas. I can assume they'll probably buy a home in the suburb, but it's another thing if they see that, that location page on your website. It's like, oh, they buy homes in Frisco or whatever. That's exactly where I am. Cool.
and then have reviews with the person's name dash Frisco home seller. Where a lot of people, they'll just put the review and it's Mark H or whatever. No, literally put Mark H dash Frisco home seller. So they know, oh, like they bought a house in Frisco. Or if you mainly focus in Frisco, put Frisco Oak Avenue home seller. Like get it even more specific. But the more localized, the more close to them and where they are, and they can feel, oh, this person, they know my market. They know this well. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a huge deal. Yep. The last two, I am running out. Whatever. Screw it. Crusher. The Crusher is Crusher number 6. The site isn't optimized for mobile. I'm putting way too much energy into that.
Dude, you're doing good, man. You're doing good.
The site isn't optimized for mobile. Most people are on mobile, right? It's I can't remember the exact stat, but it's the majority right now. Yeah. Tell me about optimization for mobile.
Yeah. So with house sellers, we haven't quite hit that 50% of all leads coming from mobile yet. House buyers, it's like 70 or 80%. Yeah. House buyers, it's a lot. HVAC in those markets, it's majority mobile right now. Okay. So mobile is crazy important. The biggest things on mobile, I'll give you guys a few quick tips here. We have some blogs that we've done. We've done a lot of mobile testing. A few quick tips. Well, one of them was before get that form as high as you can on the page. So when someone doesn't have to scroll down the page to see the form, to see the call to action. And you just do that by removing some of the content. Number 2, make sure that your buttons on mobile are big. Okay. So on a mobile device, your button on your form, if it's not a Carrot website, I'll oftentimes see the little tiny default WordPress, Gravity Forms button that shows submit, and it's small and to the left.
Skinny, and you're like tapping all over screen trying to get to it. Yeah.
And imagine your average prospect. They might have a big thumb, big fingers, and its thumbs usually tapping those buttons. So do they have to reach across the phone to try to tap that? And then they're actually hitting something else that's messing it up. No, make that button on mobile go all the way across to your darn phone, and it should be big, easy to touch. This goes back to the few form fields. Don't have 7 form fields, the 3. No one's going to fill the 7 out on a phone. What else? I mean, there's a couple other spots. Should load really fast.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be structured in a way that's like you can't have this massive long body of text. It needs to be broken up into blocks so that basically your phone knows how to load it, or your browser knows how to load it. So it's like, block of text, picture, block of text, picture. That's why we mentioned in the beginning of the episode, like don't try. These are the guardrails. Try not to veer too far from what we've done at Carrot, because this is tons of testing and tons of data. We didn't just make this up based on aesthetic. And so try not to veer away too much from the structure.
Oh, and make the phone number. So the phone number should always kind of follow you. When someone's scrolling down that page, make sure that phone number is always right there. I like the bottom of the page because that's where the thumb is. Some websites, I'll see the phone number that's tapped to call at the top of the page. I like the bottom though, because that's where your thumb is. So as they're scrolling down, they should always on their mobile phone have a really quick and easy way to get a hold of you, no matter where they are on the page.
Yeah. If it's at the top of the phone, they might try to hit it and miss and drop their phone, and then you've ruined their day.
That's right.
Killer number 7, the site is slow. This one is, this one is harder to mess up if you're with Carrot. Really easy to mess up, or really easy to do wrong.
Dude,
I'm gonna call out my buddy Josh, who listens. He's actually our editor for the podcast, and he by nature he listens to every Carrotcast episode. Josh Krill. So Josh said, "Hey, check out my website. Made some big improvements to it." And he said, I learned a few things from the Carrotcast, and once you check out my website, did a bunch of great improvements. I plugged it into Google's page speed insights. So it's taken like the first contentful paint, like the first piece of content took like 13 seconds to load. I'm like, oh, that's not man. Good. I'm that's like, this is brutal. I'm like, I got impatient. I'm like, I don't even know if I have the time to wait for your website to load to give you feedback.
Yeah.
It was pretty brutal. The long story short is Carrot fixes a lot of those things for you. That specific thing was like a feature that Carrot has called lazy loading, where basically it doesn't load your videos as soon as the website loads. It waits until the person's ready to watch the video. So that's something that you don't have to worry about as much. We do a lot of magic on the back end with photos and videos to make it load fast. But yeah, anything you want to add there?
A couple bars for you. So you can put your website into Google's page speed insights. So just go to Google, type up Google page speed insights. You can put in your URL there. So I'll pull up my screen here, page speed. Just literally type up Google page speed. and put it in there. Now, there's a bunch of stuff you want to ignore on here if you're not a techie. But in general, you need to meet what's called the Google Core Web Vitals, okay? And it'll tell you whether it passed or failed, like just pass, fail, okay? If you passed it, that means that website loads in about 2.5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as that website loads in 2.5 seconds or better, it's good. It's good in Google's eyes. And around that 2.5 seconds mark is the optimal in the data that we've seen on conversion rate too. So every second after 2.5 seconds load, it decreases your conversion rate by 0.5%. So if it takes 5 seconds to load, you're going to have your conversion rate bump down 2, 3, 4%. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but let's say you have 100 visitors to your website. A 4% decrease in your conversion means 4 fewer visitors or 4 fewer leads.
Yeah.
And if you're in real estate and 1 in 10 leads turns into a $20,000 deal, it only takes a couple months of 100 visitors visiting your website and losing 4 leads to lose 20 grand.
Yeah.
So if you're on a cheap website system or cheap web hosting or your web developer built it and it looks pretty, but it's sluggish, and you're like, oh, dude, but I paid my cousin Eddie this. I only pay $10 a month in hosting.
Yeah.
I'm saving money. That is probably costing you between $20,000 and $150,000 a year, depending on how much volume you have coming to your website.
Yeah.
So it's important, guys. 2.5 seconds. Type it in there. If you're on Carrot and it doesn't pass, it's usually you added a bunch of unoptimized images, a million videos, a million scripts. So if you add a bunch of third-party tracking scripts, even though they'll say add them to the head script deal, if it doesn't really matter to have it in the head, add them to the footer script, because that won't then drag down your page speed.
Yeah, that's a good tip, man. That's good. So those are the 7 killers. Trevor and I set a challenge for ourselves. We're working on being more concise. And so we set a timer for this podcast.
It's hard for me, dude. It's
hard. So we're wrapping it up. We could talk about this stuff all day, and we will on future episodes, but we're going to wrap this up. I'll throw you guys 2 credibility boosters, and then we're going to bounce. Number 1, like we already talked about, use video. So Carrot, we have a tool called Video Post. It makes it really easy to turn videos into written content on your website. Super valuable tool. But use videos on your website, use testimonials. There's some really interesting stats around video where, do you remember the stats offhand? It was like over 30.
So yeah, we looked across our data, and if you had a video, this is across millions of leads, if you had a video and someone literally just hit play, on average, those sites that had that, you saw a 30 to 40% increase in conversion.
Versus those who did not.
Those who did not. If you had a video and they watched the video all the way through, and this is across a lot of websites, thousands, their website on average doubled conversion just because they had video.
Yeah, that's crazy. So use video. Video sells. It just does. And then number 2, take the time to write a legitimate company bio. I see people miss this all the time. They launch their website and they're like, that's too much work. I get it. It takes time, it takes thought, energy. If you're not creative, this might be hard. Here's a quick prompt. I'll just tell you, this is a good starting point for ChatGPT. Go to ChatGPT. Say, act as a real estate investor or HVAC guy, whatever. Act as a real estate investor from Roseburg, Oregon, from ABC House Buyers. Write an about me description that includes my core values, unique value proposition, and years of experience. The target audience is someone who wants to sell their home fast. Write it in no more than 1,500 characters.
That's a killer prompt, by the way, dude.
Thank you. I came up with that. That'll get you 80% of the way there. If you want to really, so it's going to make up value props and years of experience, all that. Give it a little bit more context. The more work we put in the prompt, the better it'll get. But that does most of it.
Gives you the frame. Gives you the framework.
Yeah. And then it's not generic. Add your personal touch, your niches. If you like work with veterans or whatever you do, add that in there. But that's most of it.
Love it, dude. Love it.
That's it for today, man.
That's the first 3 episodes in the can.
Can.
What we're going to be doing with you guys, casting the vision, and we're going to wrap, is we're going to take you guys on a journey to help you become world-class marketers if you want to be one. If you don't want to be one, just get a little bit better at marketing to win back more deals, win back more leads, get off that darn marketing hamster wheel. And these are going to be tactical episodes. We've taken it pretty strategic in the first 3 weeks. We want to set the foundation.
Yeah.
What is evergreen marketing? How do you build out that lead generation hub? And let's talk about conversion a little bit. Those are the things that we do great in addition to SEO. So now the next ones, every single week, we're going to be coming at you guys with really tactical things. We're going to be showing you how to do it, showing how our product makes a lot of them easier. Taking Q&A on the community after these wraps. So go to community.carrot.com and join over there, because we're going to do these live every week. And then you can ask questions afterwards. Okay.
Yeah.
Subscribe on YouTube, so you get these each week. Subscribe on the podcast, wherever you're listening.
Kill that bell.
Join
Murder
us.
that bell.
Kill it. And join us in the Evergreen Marketing for Real Estate community, which is probably going to change the Evergreen Marketing community here pretty quick.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Probably.
Awesome, buddy. This is fun, man.
Sweet. All right. Thanks everybody for listening and watching. We'll see you next week.